Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. It's 8 something I am here in Vancouver. Thank you so much for waiting for us. Sometimes I do have a lot of technical issues, even though I've been doing this for a while, I still do. Thank you for joining us again for another. Oh, can you hear my echo? For another talk about the portfolio series. The portfolio series has been amazing. I've been learning so much from so many guest speakers, and we are going on week 3, but we are still talking a little bit about the same, that is branding, how to find yourself, how problems, roadblocks are going to help you to really go inside of you and discover what you are good from, how you can use all those tools at those roadblocks to be better. I'm super excited for our guest speaker today. But again, if you are in LinkedIn, if you are in YouTube, if you're joining us because ADPList and you're in YouTube, make sure that you write down your comments and your questions on the comment section. I'm going to be sharing those with Raluca at the end of the talk, okay? So do not forget your questions. Let's have in our guest speaker. I know. Hello, how are you?
Hello,
Thank you
hello.
for being patient. I have put you through so many. We went through from one channel to the other channel. Anyway, we are here. Thank you, Raluca, for joining us today. How are you?
I'm good, busy, but hanging in there. Happy to be here
Yes.
with you.
I mean, it's almost the end of the day for you, so I feel like that's always good. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's 6
Yes.
p.m. here and in Bucharest, Romania.
Yeah, so 6 p.m. We are all around the world for the guest speakers, something that I love. And okay, I'm going to give you the floor. And again, for all of you that join us through LinkedIn or YouTube, make sure that you write down your questions on the comments. Let's share your presentation, and the floor is yours.
Okay, so nice to meet you. Unless the presentation wasn't present enough, I am Raluca Mitarca, and today I'm going to talk about seeds of discontent as a theme. Very ominous, I know. Okay, so first, if I would like to know where everyone is from, if there's anyone going to add in the comments, I would really like to know where everyone is based. Who's here? I mean, uh, and then I'll
Do
tell
you
you a
want
bit
me
about
to
me.
tell you as they go?
Yes,
We
I would
have
love to.
Birekat. He's from India. And I know there is more people. So please type down, where
Wait.
are you joining us from? Yes. We want to see. Okay, more from India. Come on, type. We have people. I see a lot of all of you here, and then just 2 people typing. Maybe they're shy. That's okay. That's okay. Oh, okay. We have someone else from Romania. India, Romania. Thank you. Okay, this is perfect.
I see a pattern. I see a pattern. Cool.
Yes.
Okie dokie. So let's see. Let's get started. What am I doing here? Who am I? What am I doing here? I'm doing storyteller driven illustrated websites. Quite the mouthful. I'm a designer, illustrator, sometimes animator, and mostly freelancer. I am what you would call a jack of all trades, and I work with my husband. I have a studio, and I graduated from architecture school back a while back. It's been some time. And what I'm going to talk about today uh, is basically discontent. Is discontent, and why am I talking about discontent? Uh, Basically, discontent is our mind and body's way of asking for being authentic or being your true self. It's basically when your environment and you don't really match. So being authentic means you are at your most natural self and you exist in a state where you can just be yourself and you're happy. If this is not possible, at least for me, it gets to burnout. And so for some people, including me, this is necessary to get the job satisfaction. Like you feel like you belong, you feel like you're happy, you're doing something that makes you uh, like content, and there's meaning in your work. In my case, authenticity is necessary. Is being able to do all the things I love that I mentioned in the slide before. So I want to invite you on my journey to see how I got here and maybe that will help you as well. Okay, let's see, next slide. Cool. So I'm going to start with me, like until I was an 18-year-old. To the right, I will make a note that I have a little graphic where I basically plot out what the things I love and I like on a timeline. And so what did I do when I was small? I really liked computers. I created imaginary worlds and I used to draw all the time. And I played the piano. And uh, I am also pretty sensitive and artistic, kind of stubborn. I draw and I love order and the computers. But at some point, everyone wanted to ask, what are you going to be when you grow up? And yeah, that was pretty tough because I couldn't decide. I had to pick between computers and drawing and piano. And so, what do you want to be when you grow up? Which path should I take from all those three? I landed, fortunately, my mom made it. My mom made me go to architecture school, so it was really fun when I was drawing. If visualizing imaginary worlds turned into visualizing cities, I would still draw all the time, but computer and playing the piano kind of fell to the wayside. I also discovered a new thing that I really liked. It was design. This was all fun and games, and I really loved to draw. You can see that here. This was what I used to do at the time. So it's like mix and match of like architecture plans and like watercolor and like just doodling, being a beginner at it. It was fun. I really liked what I did. Um, so doing this in uni was really fun until I stopped working on the computer and until I started working on the computer because the drawing by hand had to go at some point. Like everything moved online, and so I found myself without the pleasures of my life, like keeping drawing all the time, just had design. And so for the second crisis, let's say, happened. Like, what am I doing with my life? Which path should I take again? What now? Where am I going with this? This is when I was crying in a bar after uni. The economic crisis was here, and it was kicking me in the butt to change lanes because I would never have a job as an architect. Nobody would hire anymore. It was like a really bad time. And so I just got into design slowly but surely. I became the designer review woman, I like to say. And so that's what I spent like 5 years of my life. I was aspiring to be one of the guys. And I stopped drawing for a long time. And then I discovered I really love tech because it was inspired by my love of computers. And instead of designing and imagining worlds, I would imagine applications and mobile apps. It was really fun for me to just create the future. And instead of working on design, I would focus more on print and just like the visual side of things. So that's what I did for a while. The type of work I did was basically this, like normal stuff. I would do some logos, I would do some interfaces. What else? Some animations. I would still draw by hand quite a lot, but not necessarily for work. Even I actually had a job doing CD graphics for a while at a CD factory. But then, crisis number 3. Is this it? This is the daily grind forever. Is this what I'm going to do for the rest of my life? It was really not nice. I got fired from my first job. So to start off, it was really bad after, I think, 8 months. Some downsides to this. I didn't really feel like I was equal as an employee. I really like equality. So being just an employee would mean I just have to follow orders and I couldn't question them. So I didn't really like that. I always thought that when people do things, they kind of want to collaborate and like work together and come and build something. No, that was not the case, and it was really disappointing. And after a mental health issue, I had anxiety. After a while, I quit to work remote, but the mismatch with the client made me just burn out even more. And I just said, okay, rage quit. I will quit and I will become an illustrator. Initially, I didn't illustrate anything for some time, but now suddenly I would just illustrate everything and discover the skill of freelancing. I stopped. This was for a short period because I couldn't look at design ever again. I I said, okay, no more tech, no more computers, no more design, nothing. I just want to be an illustrator. This is what I would draw at the time. I did freelance illustration for about like that 1 year or less. I would be on freelancer on Fiverr. I would just get random gigs. I got myself an iPad. I like super excited to go on the illustrator path. And so I took lesson from my design work and created my, because I had the experience of designing things, I could just design the experience I wanted for my illustration career. So I went deep into networking with other illustrators. I knew no illustrators, so I went to events. I started mingling. I went to schools. I just learned everything every day. I learned how to use Illustrator way better. I learned how to paint. I also took a mentor. But um, even though this was kind of fun, I kind of missed design when I stopped being so burned out. But then I would get two jobs. I said, okay, I'm illustrating and now I'm a designer and I can't really realistically do both of these things, even though I love them. I really did like them both. Uh, so yeah, switching from one to the other is pretty complicated. When you do design, you kind of warm up your head and you're getting into it, and then you have to switch into the other thing, and it's a completely different skill set. So it was really unsustainable. So I hired a business coach, and then I became the digital designer and illustrator for about, I guess, 4 years. And I brought all the skills I had together to make to make myself, I guess, from scratch. Let me see. The coach, she was a business coach. She was really useful because she helped me learn like how to be a freelancer for real, like some skills I didn't really know. And being able to do all the skills required that I basically niche and quit of some of the things. I mean, really making them smaller, I guess. So if I had a style, I just picked a style of illustration, I picked a style of design, and then combined everything into just one product or one service for someone that would buy all these things together. This is how my portfolio would look like. As you can see, it's a bit more organized and it's a bit more coherent. I had some work under my belt and I just stopped doing the other things. I focused on just clean web design, no more UI UX, even though I did some UI UX, I just did more web design. I would illustrate a bit more. I would use the illustration in all the projects. I was lucky that at the time illustration was really popular, so me using my hands to just doodle was like the perfect match. I was really lucky. I really enjoyed it. And I would do vectors and animate them. I would do basically everything. So that was really exciting for a time. What happened here, and I think it was really important because I was focused and it was a specific niche. Job satisfaction skyrocketed. I finally had some clients that were like a super good match for me. My portfolio was not like all over the place with all different styles and different types of projects, and they knew what they would expect when they started working with me. And so expectations were really easy to manage. People would pay more to work with me increasingly, and they really liked working with me, like super happy, compared to the work before when nobody liked and revisions would continue into the night and all that stuff. Okay, so this was a good time. This lasted until I was 36. But then, seed number 5, COVID. Nobody will hire me again. I was really panicking when COVID came into 2020 because I still felt like I was not that good at my job. There was a recession looming, and then I went on a learning spree. I said, okay, I need to be useful. I need to be like, I went deep. I started doing more strategy and focusing on the skills that I didn't really know, but I felt like my audience, because I had a specific target audience. They were like a tech startups with like one designer or two designers and more developers than designers that would need a marketing website. And so I learned and learned and learned. And this is how I ended up doing marketing websites for tech startups. And I basically zoomed into the niche of the tech startups and figured out that these people had problem with content, these people had problem with like the marketing side, and I said, okay, this is a lot more stuff I can learn and have fun with. So by now I would do illustration and do webflow websites because I really like the techie side. I would imagine a bit of strategy. I discovered learning about sales. I focused on learning about the tech niche a lot more. So it just gets, I mean, it's a lot, but then it being focused really helps not be that overwhelmed, I guess. And I had to learn how to run a business in the end. My websites look like this now. This is the type of work that we've been doing for the past. I've been doing for the past 3 or 4 years now. And as you can see, it's getting even more similar. It's like really clean, really colorful, because I felt even more compelled to put myself out there and be myself. Illustration got a bit more, I don't know, fun and exploratory. Okay, so at this time, I think I got I got more income from my work because the niche was like super successful. Because when you know who you're selling to and you know what you want to do, it's easier to craft a message, and so that's what I did. Okay, I think this is the um, this is my path so far, and so the tools for success, I would say, that I used every day and got me where I am was the Adobe Suite, obviously. A little bit of Figma, even though I hate it, but it's a learning progress. iPad Pro, drawing on Fresco, Webflow, but it could be anything. Relum, which is a library for web components. Remnote, where I take my notes and write every day, and ClickUp. But this is what people would usually say when you ask what tools are you working in and what helped you do your work and your job. But then there's also the hidden skills that people don't really say when you start like a design career, that nobody told me when I started off. Is like communication skills are like the most important thing. Learning how to talk, learning how to give feedback, learning how to ask for feedback is super important. Patience, that gets tested a lot as a freelancer. Being curious and never stopping learning and say, this is not my job, I don't want to learn and go that way, even though it would be fun. Recognizing patterns, knowing your niche, and being people oriented because you're in a service industry, or I was in a service industry. Being brave is also something really underrated, and always iterating and selling. Support network, obviously. I know I put it last, but it's also up there with communication skills. Always having like a network of people who helped keep a clear head was super important. Okay, so let me see. What now? Just to get a little more practical here, very shortly. The website should, if you are building a website, it should answer to the questions who you are and what you do and who you do it for, and what is the benefit of a client working with you. Okay, so now, last but not least, another crisis. What do you want to be when you grow up? I forgot what makes me me, because in the service, being in a service oriented industry and focusing a lot on my clients, as you saw the skills I learned, I kind of forgot where I started from and what makes me me, and I really felt a lot of pressure. Niching down is really nice, but it has its downsides, and learning many new things. At some point, you can actually find out that you don't really like most of them, and you kind of need to trim down like a hedge, and make it a bit lighter and leaner. I forgot that, for example, since I started working with my husband and like, like delegating a lot more. I didn't really enjoy the project management side, and I started designing a lot less and illustrating even less. And I didn't really like that. And I learned that I'm more of a craft person than an idea person. And now I'm on a path to find myself. And it's not the niche that's the problem, it's the portfolio. And I'm experimenting with a new portfolio to fit my needs for self expression, and see where that goes. And so that takes me to the storytelling websites that I'm trying to work on right now, starting this year, I guess. And I'm not really sure where everything is going. Is it going to be more artistic? I'm hoping, but it's definitely going to be more authentic, and I have to see how it lands with my potential clients. But yes, that's basically it. Focus more and more art, mentoring, and writing. That's a new one. Okay, who knows? This is for the presentation portfolio part. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm so jealous of your presentation deck. It's just so beautiful, and I feel like it reflects so much about who you are, and everything that you have been discovering in all the different roadblocks that you have, and that's why you're here. Um, for people that is watching us, make sure that you drop questions on the comments, and I will go through those. But meanwhile, I always have questions, and I have here my list. And something that is interesting that you took us to all the things that you wanted to do and the things that you didn't want to do. When do you know that you have to give something up? It's like, I cannot keep doing this. How do you know that?
Yeah, good question. Well, when you're burning out, is that's a good sign for me. When you're burning out and you don't really like what you're doing, and you would be doing anything else, maybe run for the hills. That's a good hint that maybe you don't really like that particular part of the job you're doing. I also have I do consistent introspection because I'm really sensitive about this, and I think about things a lot. And I usually list all the things that I do want to do and what I want to learn to do, and try to see, okay, what exactly in a granular way, what do I want to keep in the future. So I just do regular check-ins.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a good one. And sometimes we get, I mean, if you are in that survival mode, is sometimes really hard to see the light and kind of sit down and write everything that you want, because you are just so deep into your problems and your feelings and everything. But always coming back to you and who you are, I feel like is such a powerful thing. So thank you for that. Um, Oh, something that I'm interested maybe more personally. I hope this work helps people too. But you mentioned a little bit about a mentor and a coach that you have during your times when you were learning, and and I feel again, just hiring someone is always involved, of course, paying. But do you
Mhm.
think that having that coach that helped you for your freelancing work, did it help you? Did you learn? And is something that you would recommend to folks?
Generally, yes. I wouldn't have gotten there so fast if that coach lady was here for me to just guide me through everything. It was like a 6 months program, and for
Wow.
me it was pretty expensive at the time. But we would have like one-on-one check-ins, and it was really great because she pushed me to create my company. I had no
Mhm.
official company. She pushed me to make a website because I only had an Adobe gallery, and she just
Mm.
helped me to be more professional, and all these in things I really did not know about, like how to be a business person. In the end, I was completely clueless, and so generally I would recommend. I'm still looking for a good coach at the moment, but I cannot find one. So I think it really matters to find someone. I found her while Googling at the
Mhm.
time on how to become a freelancer illustrator, and I had her in my inbox for 6 months until
Mm.
she said, anyone wants coaching, and I said, oh yes, me, I have decided,
Mhm.
and I took a leap. But you can also
Okay.
do that with mentors on ADP list, I think. ADP was not there at the time.
Definitely. And you mentioned that you're looking for a new coach right now. So what is and that is kind of based in the next goals that you want for your profession stages, or what is the difference at the moment?
I think I'm not sure what I'm looking for
Mm,
necessarily. I would like someone who has an agency and maybe knows how to delegate, and I could use someone who is more business oriented than strategic, which is something I am still new at, and I would really learn a lot more if they existed in that form, but I haven't yet. I didn't really
okay.
look too intently either. It didn't fall in my lap.
I see. I see. Okay, let's go. We have some questions, and I can keep asking questions, but let's give chance to our viewers. So, Vivek, how do you see AI impact illustrators' ability to change for their work and sustain their income? What key challenges should illustrator prepare for as AI becomes more integrated into the industry? Mhm.
Oof, tough one. You're going in for the blood, Vivek. Wow. Yes, so I did freak out in the beginning when AI appeared, and I'm still pretty, I don't know, upset about the business model with AI. I don't feel like it's fair to pay some company for the right to use a software that was built using your own work as an artist. It's just like super wrong. So I think that would be first open source, and then maybe integrated decently into some tools so you can use them. I think Adobe is doing it not great, but at least it's not a text prompt. It's an actual design tool, so it addresses the actual illustrators and designers out there. There's, I think, with AI, like the most impacted work is unfortunately the beginner illustrators and the beginner designers, because that's where the low paying work usually is going, the low paying work is going to be replaced. I mean, no, there's people who want authenticity and they want like a really premium experience, and that's okay if you're going on in a more expensive area. So I think the people still exist. I don't have a problem in that. I still have work, but in terms of just creating a thumbnail for a blog, creating, I don't know, just really low paying work is what makes people get a portfolio and experience, and I think that's going to be pretty affected. So, what key challenges should Illustrator prepare for? Tough one. I don't know. I am sure that even though it looks catastrophic at the moment, in a way, people will adapt and will kind of tune out the AI, or also you should kind of learn to work with it. I am not learning to work with it because I hate it, but I really like GPT. In the texting is really cool. But for someone who's just starting and wants to learn, I think it's also a good tool to explore and see. You can't do a hand, you can't do something, you can just start with a draft and then refine it and do things for yourself. That's what I think.
Oh, it's a tough one. Again, I'm not going to comment on this. But yes, I'm going to move on to Sirisha. So, what the future change in the what the future change in the design industry? Like, how do you think is the design going to change in the future? What is coming for us?
Oof, I have no idea. I'm barely figuring it out for myself. But if I were to speculate, I don't know if it's just my bubble or not. The design industry will have to focus more on creativity and bringing your own thoughts and opinions to the table. I think that's how it feels from where I'm standing. I mean, not just being the hands doing the work, but also thinking. This is what the AI, because we were at the A talk, can't really do that well. And being able to discover and talking to people is something again the AI doesn't really do. So you need to just take charge and be, I don't know, lead the process.
Definitely. And I feel like, again, the human part is something that we always going to bring to the table. So I feel like how to make that. the biggest of us. That could be like cross collaboration with the team, empowering the people who are you working with, um, bringing who you are. I feel like that's something that is going to be so unique. So maybe that's something that we keep working on. Okay, let
Mm-hmm.
me see if I lost the order. Okay, let's see. Another from Sivisha. How to improve self development and improve self esteem. Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Okay, so how to improve self-development? Hmm. Well, being goal oriented really helps. You have to be brave. Like I said with that is the slide with the secret tools. Nobody told me that I have to be brave. And I don't know. I don't know how old you are, Sirisha, or what's your experience, but at some point when you in your career you realize that all the other people are just as smart as you are, and you shouldn't be really afraid to like embrace it. Like you're a human amongst humans, and then if you see a skill or something you want to achieve, you can actually look at it and say, I want to achieve that thing. Other people have done it. Why can't I? With patience, basically. Learning YouTube, I think we live in a good time for learning. There's a lot of content on YouTube specifically that you can use for self improvement. And I think it really depends on what you want to improve. To improve your self esteem, I think it's practice and putting your work out there, because self esteem comes not from, I mean, it comes from respecting yourself, but it also comes from external validation over time, because you kind of need to know if you can solve a problem, or at least that's how I see it. And so just putting your work out there and realizing that it's not as bad as you think. It's really important to know, because some people like are out there and working, and people tell them that they're good at their job, but still don't really feel like they are good at the job. Like the first leaf of like the first feedback that's negative, like you crumble and you're like, oh my god, I knew it, I suck, I do not know anything. And so keeping, I do, I have a good one. I do keep a journal called the Freelancer Emergency Kit, and that's where I post screenshots of all the conversations where I got compliments on my work. When I'm in doubt, I go there and like reread them, because the brain doesn't know if it's the past or present, and so I feel way better immediately.
Love it. Thank you so much. That's a good one. And I feel like um, that part of like the things that you wanted to work on. I mean, you don't need to, if you have things, 5 things in your list that you wanted to work, you don't need to do the 5 things all at the time because it's so overwhelming. So I feel like just taking little by little and taking the day
Mm-hmm.
as it goes, instead of like, this year is what I'm going to do in a year is hard. But I feel like if you start planning little by little, that's going to help you a lot. And I love that graphic or illustration of like, when they do a close up of people going into stairs, and then it looks like so hard, but then when they do the macro view and then you see all the little steps that people have gone to get there, is such a powerful like visualization of how your work uh, in life kind of works. That is little by little always going to be super powerful.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, let me see. Okay, another one for from Vivek is, what strategies have you found the most effective for embracing uncertainty and discontent in a way that feels career growth? I feel like
Mm.
he's like going really deep in all his questions. Love it, Vivek.
I think it's the theme of tonight. Well, strategies most effective for embracing uncertainty and discontent. Oof. Well, I don't think I have a good strategy yet. I'm it's mostly panic, panic, and panic some more because I'm like super panicky by default. Um, the thing with discontent is that I feel it a lot, and I think I'm sensitive to it. Yeah, it's not like a feature. Unfortunately, I wish I would be more content usually, but I guess it has its upsides. The embracing uncertainty, so far, I don't recommend it. But so far, what I've done is throw knowledge at it at me, like just learn all the things. I think you've seen from my little tweet chart, like the insanity levels things got to. Just looking at it made me feel kind of crazy. But I think what I'm trying to achieve now is not worrying so much about the past and the future, and just trying to be in the present. And I'm like, okay, I'm right now, is something happening? No, we're good, it's okay. When you get to the future and something happens, then you should worry. But then, until then, I would let Raluca from the future figure it out and deal with it. Your job right now is just to be present and figure out if anything is wrong. Just, I don't know, trust yourself that you will be awake and not be like asleep and have like a cataclysm career event pass you by. That, I think that's what usually people fear when uncertainty feels like you will not get a job. You will, you'll be fired. Well, what will you do? You will have a portfolio to make. You will have to look for a new job. I mean, it's obviously you have to do what you have to do at the time. So that's what I take solace in.
I feel like I don't know, and as you were telling your story, is like even though it was uncertain, like whatever you did previously, it was kind of training you without you knowing. I feel like that you were keep like getting all these skills and learning things for whatever comes in the future. I feel like I don't know. I trusted have always been my life like this. Like even though that I didn't get the promotion and didn't get the job and I got laid off and I see myself where I am today, is like I wouldn't be here without that. Like everything on my life have keep preparing me to where I am today. And
Mhm.
like yourself in the future is already talking to your self in the present, like without you knowing. I feel like this is such a powerful thing, just trusting where you are and what you have to bring to the table is going to always be so powerful. I don't know if I'm even making sense at the moment. I have another question, and I feel like this is going to kind of work for one of the questions that I have, that it goes more lining up to the portfolio and your brand. But how do you approach building a personal brand that truly reflects your identity? And what advice would you give to others in balancing authenticity and professionalism? Vivek, were you asking this question last week with this week too? And I feel like this is such a powerful one in the environment that we are right now. Anyway, I give it to you, Raluca.
Well, let me read that again. It was a mouthful. Ooh, I think I can share my screen again. I have something ready for that question.
Oh, I can. Oh, I can share my screen. Oh, yes, I shared the screen. There you go.
Not this one, but the other one. Let me try again. Sorry.
Oh no, that's okay.
Dum, dum, dum.
And I think while you do that, I feel like I know that I say that we're kind of finishing with about branding and who you are, but on Monday we are going to have Jacobo. He's a graphic designer, and he's going to take us from like all these ideas of strength, values, what people think about the brand, what are the future of the things that you want for that brand, and how to put it from all these ideas and ideation into a brand. Mostly thinking that a lot of us, I'm a UX designer, we have developers, we have researchers, we have PMs, we are not graphic designers. So how to take all these ideas, and he's going to give us some pointers of how to create a brand so we can show who we are as a person. But here, okay, the screen is up.
Okay, so this thing is a year's work trying to figure out the current brand that I have at the moment that I built. And I basically did a few exercises that I found online or just invented them. But one of them that I learned from UX design is the affinity map, if that's correct. I'm not very good at UX. Like I not my best. This is something I wrote about me in several at different stages, and I wrote just what I liked and who I am, and just like random keywords that reflect me. What I did with this was group them in like a thematic groups, and then I just sorry. And then I just, okay, who am I? Because you can't really know who you are if you don't put them out in the paper, on the paper, to play with them. And I don't know if it's a design thing necessarily, but it's definitely useful to get it out in front of you and see how you can play with them. And then what I learned is like what kind of illustrations I like to do, what kind of skills I would like to keep going with, what I wouldn't want to do, like what type of design style. If I do mentoring, what kind of mentoring, what uh, what kind of skill I can pass on, what I like doing and not. And so this is what I did. And initially, I usually, for a brand, for someone else that's not me, I usually write the values and I see the mission and the purpose of the company. But since this was like about me specifically and my brand was reflective of who I am as a person, it really got complicated because I couldn't really land on it. And so I spent a lot of time. What else do I have here? The clients I want to work with, like the areas I want to do, what kind of, I don't know, what what is happening in my house at the moment, what kind of clients I like to work with. This got a bit more professional. What kind of thoughts they have, like this is a bit of not user journey, but it's like a persona. I built a persona for my client to see how I can help them, because there was a mismatch, for example, between what I would like to do, but who's going to buy it. And so I needed to find and connect the dots there with the services I did. And of course, a bit of mood boarding for illustration, mood boarding for like websites. And even though my website right now doesn't really look like this, I think it looks like this. I made this at some point and I put it in the mood board itself. I had a pretty good inkling of what things I like in here. Even more keywords, as you can see, it's insane with the keywords. I figured out the service structure, like with mapping, with the same process like before. What else? I had the website structure, but then I just dumped everything and I just created my website. And so, yeah, it's a lot of writing, and putting it down and playing with them to see how to figure it out, basically.
I
I
love
hope.
this. This is kind of what we look. I'm going to steal this idea. This is kind of what we've been doing for the last 3 weeks for the portfolio power up space. We've been discussing a lot about like who we are, yes, because is to try to identify and make us as different from others. We need to know who we are and what we want. So yeah, between values, strengths, what are the things that I would like to work on, where I'm in my career at this moment, like what again, what are my strengths, my skills, but what are the things that I would like to do in the future. So like you were mentioning, like the companies or the type of projects that you would like to work. And I feel like if we start thinking, as I think some of us, we are not freelancer, but we would like to our portfolio reflect those companies that we wanted to work on. Do we want out to work on for a startup, for bigger companies, for agency? Would we like to be a freelancer? So how does our portfolio going to reflect that is really important. And this comes with a lot of like self-reflection and writing down. And this is like a lot of, we will call it UX, but I feel like it's something that absolutely anyone can use to develop themselves and this brand. But we haven't asked one, we haven't answered the question that is, how do we show that we are professional? And I feel like this is such a uh,
Oof.
is such a big topic, and this will change in absolutely every country and every culture, and it could change an industry, and it could, yes, I don't know,
And it's
what would you
changing
say?
time as well. One year it looks like something, and then another year it looks completely different. It's a fine line. Um, I think it depends on who you want to work with. So you can't really be professional in a vacuum. You need to be professional towards something, because what does professional mean? It means like you act with the habits and with the expectations of a certain like industry or a segment of the population, right? So you have to like when you go to Japan, you need to abide by certain rules. That is how you need to do that when you work at a company. So knowing who you're working for will, and looking at how other people, like doing a looking at other professionals or other clients or other, I don't know, anyone who works with those people, will kind of tell you what the norms are, and then you can see where you are. Like, this is how people expect it to be, this is how you are. Like, somewhere in the middle, I think, is a good place to be. I wouldn't really go full professionalism, because maybe if the distance is too big between you and that thing, you might not be happy, and maybe you need to look for something that's a bit more closer to you.
Mm. I love that, and I feel like that's a really important thing to mention, is how that distance, how big is that the distance is like, if this is me and I come all the way, I'm losing all who I am and everything that it brings to my essence. Yes, and I say this thinking on the privilege that is to be so far away and being yourself and don't compromise anything. This is a hard space to find. Yes, I feel like sometimes, I mean, you need to
It's,
get a job, you need to bring food to the table, pay rent.
mhm,
And if that sometimes means that you need to compromise more than you have to, I feel like for you to be aware that that's okay. And then when you are in that space, what are other things that you can work on outside of work? And I do mention this a lot too, is like, neither space, either work, your partner, your friends, your family, is going to be all the expectations that you want. Yes, neither space is going to be perfect and have everything on the table that you like for
mhm,
you. So what else are you doing outside of these spaces to fill it up those gaps? Yes, like, again, if your work is not as creative as you like, can you work in a project outside of this to be creative and be happy? I don't know. I'm just trying to fill it up those gaps, and it's for you to
yes,
be aware
exactly.
more than anything. Mhm.
I have another thing to add here. So, being yourself, this self is not necessarily a static thing that you are born with. It's something that evolves in
Mhm.
time. And so, you can, I don't like to say that you can change, because people don't really change, but they refine in time. So, you kind of evolve, you get better at things, you get better at talking, you get better at just
Mhm.
being a certain way, you're nicer at some point, or you just get meaner when you grow old. I think it kind of, so you can, you're like a plant basically that grows in certain directions, and you're not just one way. You have like a possibility,
Mhm.
I guess, cloud that you can crawl into. So it's not that fixed. You can always experiment, see if you can look that professional or not. I come from a period of time when I try to be exactly what people expected in my professional, and I would use the lingo, write the emails. I would like be super American. I'm trying to kind of get rid of that, because I kind of got tired, and I now I want to experiment with my own voice, and it's kind of
Mhm.
scary, because I do not know what that voice is. My voice is like half professional, half like funny, half confused, rambling, doesn't know what she said half a sentence ago, and depends if you think you are professional. I think it also comes down to your values. If you think the professionalism is something you want to be in and you want to do, and you think it's valuable for you and your evolution. That's what I wanted to
Definitely.
say.
Love it. Okay, we have still a couple of minutes and a couple of questions. Let me see. I lost. No, no. Okay, yes. Okay. Another one for Sirisha. I feel like every time that I say their names, I change it. Sorry, Sirisha. My bad. What are the ways to improve creative and innovative problem solving approach and critical thinking?
Ooh, read books.
Hmm.
Read books, definitely. That's what I do. I do not have the answer. I mean, I don't know the answer, but that's what I do. I just buy books of people who do that, like problem solving and branding and strategy, especially. And I watch YouTube videos, because some of the information you can't really transmit it by speech. You just have to look at them do it several times until you figure it out. And practice. If you have anything to add, Juliet.
No, I'll say practice. I feel like that's a good one. Sometimes we just go into life like, yes, 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 yeah, I do that or whatever, and we don't take a moment to say, it's like, oh, is this a thing? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing different? Is it a better way to do this or not? I feel like that will be useful for the critical thinking. Is taking a time, some moment to realize, is this right, is this wrong, is a better way, not just
Mhm.
to accept and do. I feel like that's
Yes.
the opposite of critical thinking, is just not thinking. Yes.
Mhm, just doing, yeah. Big picture thinking, always contextualizing. Okay, what does this mean? Asking yourself, what does it mean? If this happens, what will happen? What are the consequences? I mean, anything that's big picture thinking, I think, is a good, uh, I don't know, habit to have if you want to improve the critical thinking.
Okay, we have a couple of more minutes if there are any more questions, but I do have one more. And it's more about, hold on, I have some, no, this one is done. So we've been talking a lot about skills and strengths and things that you keep learning on the way. And because we are in the portfolio power up series, is like, how do I display all of this information, all of my strengths? And I know that you show us your board already, but how do I keep telling people who I am, and how do I put it in my portfolio? And when we talk at the beginning, before, when you were interested in being part of this, something that you mentioned is that your portfolio has changed over time. Yes. And I imagine that these reflect those learning and the things that you wanted to do in the future. So do I share your
Oh, yes, you
screen
can
again?
share. I shared mine.
Yes, I can do that.
I took the opportunity to share my current website that's work in progress, so no judging.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a question. I don't know if it's a trick question because I'm a narrative designer, so I'm going to say storytelling. You know that, right?
Mhm. Yes.
Uh, I've been communicationally challenged since I was I don't know, pretty young. I didn't really get along with my parents too well, and I always I had trouble expressing myself and being understood, and so I think that kind of made me want to just be really really understood. So there's like super good on
Mhm.
communication, and so I realized not long ago that design is basically visual communication, and so you're just talking because you have someone who's going to listen and you have somebody doing the talking. So that is not like art where you just do you and that's it. People need to understand, they need to
Mhm.
hear you. So the best way to express yourself as a human, from what I've learned, maybe it will change, is like storytelling, obviously. And my website as it is now started from all that research I did, dropping it at some point in one afternoon, drinking something. I had a beer or something in the winter, and just I did a draft of here's what I do and why you should work with me, like in one go. And this is what came out based on that. And so this is me trying to be funny. So this is what I say, that I do websites that connect at the heart because like emotion is like pretty big for me. Um, this is where I ask people if, hey, do you identify with this? I don't know if this is answering your question, but I guess let me know if it's helpful. Um,
Yes.
this is like, so I'm trying to make a storytelling web page that just shows some of my work, but not in a usual
Mhm.
type of portfolio, like with a little twist that shows that I want to do
Mhm.
something else. The type of work I will do will be different from your normal website, like showing a little illustration, showing a little bit of that, but the text is really important. Like why it comes down to the three things I mentioned on that little slide, like who am I, what can I do, who I do it for, and what do you get out of it. And then I don't know, people want, for example, for my target audience, people what do they want? They want to make everyone excited to sign up, help them communicate, because like this is meta, I'm telling people really fast that they should work around short attention span with their audience and like immerse people so they can connect. like addressing like a question here. Okay, but why? And then I answer it. Why not? And then I make my case with like some illustrations because of course I do, and telling why his stories are important in the greater scheme of things, and authenticity like is important. I have some social proof, but it's not finished. And then the call to action that is uncover story and inspire people. This is what I am offering. It's not
Mhm.
necessarily like here. This is what I do. If you want to inspire people, work with me. It's just like with a bit more word play, and I try to make it a story, like really, really a little story.
Mhm. Love it. Oh, thank you so much. Love it. I will say, and I think like for people, and if you see Raluca's presentation deck, and then you come to the website, and I imagine, again, if you go to different spaces where you share who you are, this storytelling is falling everywhere, and I feel like that's something really powerful that people need to kind of remember, that that is storytelling and that branding and marketing goes everywhere. And again, I feel like
Mhm.
love that mirror board with all the information and self-reflection that is going to help a lot of us to get to the point where you can really share who you are. um
It's a process. It takes
it's a
a
process.
lot of time.
Again, how long did it take you to do this? Is not like the day that you sit down and when drinking something, this is what it came out. This is come with from a lot of work and self-reflection and putting down your
Mhm.
thoughts. Yes, it's not like one after. I mean, there's some people that they in a one afternoon like they know who they are. I think most of us require more than one afternoon. Okay, last.
Of
Oh,
course.
we already went over time, but oh, go ahead. Do you have something?
No, I
I
said
really.
that it took me a year to make this one, but some other portfolios I did just took me 4 days because I knew
Yes.
what I wanted to say. It was simple, but this time I also then had to do the self reflection because I hadn't before.
Yes. Love it. Okay, let's finish with one more question. And we went over time. I had time and then we went over time. What do you folks do fit your inner self to be creative and get inspired? Okay.
Ah, yes. So, inspiration, inspiration, inspiration. Going to museums,
Hmm.
looking online. And I used to dread the inspiration phase at the beginning when I started because I wanted to be original and creative and I don't need to look at other people's work.
Yeah.
But then I'm an artist. I actually like looking at work. What am I doing? So it was kind of silly. But now I really enjoy because I can imagine that I will open up Dribble and I will open up Behance. If you have any other, let me know. Other resources. That's what I do. I look at art. I read like philosophy sometimes and just look at other people's work. Preferably even art. I have a little app. I don't know, Art Daily or something. It's on the phone.
Nice.
It's an app and they show you like old classical art and it's really nice because they explain what's going on. And so that's really inspiring. It's really fun.
I mean, inspiration, I feel like is absolutely everywhere. I feel like that awareness of where you are. I feel like if you go on the street, we see everybody. I mean, I do it. I complain about it myself too. Being on the phone and not even noticing what is happening. So I feel like just sitting down, being aware of what is happening, what people is doing, I feel like is such a powerful space. And that will give you a clue of the things that you like or not. So I feel like awareness, going meeting people, I feel like
To
community is
level.
such a strength. Yes, yeah, love it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Going to workshops with other people, joining these
Yeah.
types of events, also
Yes.
really inspiring.
Love it. And when saying that, thank you so much again for sharing your journey, sharing your way of thinking. How do you organize your ideas, and how everything that at one point feels like it was a roadblock have helped you to grow and be better. So thank you so much for that. Again, if you want some inspiration here, Raluca just shared some of hers. So this is amazing. And on Saturday we have something at 8 a.m. Sajed is going to be telling us the things that your portfolio needs to have depending of where you are in your career. And then on Monday we have Jacobo. He's going to be again showing us how to do branding with all this information that we've been gathering in the portfolio power up for 3 weeks, how to put it in a brand. And I forgot the next guest speakers because we have more. I just there are so many to keep in mind. So if you don't want to miss any of this event, make sure that you follow me on my LinkedIn. So Julia Fajardo. So all events are there. You can come and rewatch Raluca's uh, talk right on my LinkedIn. So Raluca, thank you again for enjoying your
Nice to
evening with
be
us.
here with you.
Yeah, thank you everybody. Take care. Bye.